the correction is coming from Bob Bowman, the head coach of USA, which is actually Bob Bowman is the the head coach of USA because the USA tried to analyze the last Olympics, uh, the total gold medals of all the swimmers of Bob Bowman versus the 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 total gold of USA. Bob Bowman has more golds than USA, so they don't have a choice but to get Bob Bowman. Okay, now Bob Bowman is now receiving 400,000, okay, US dollars. Okay, wow, that's 23 million pesos, okay, per year, uh, and that's 1.9 million per month here in the Philippines. Okay, and that's equal for 9,700 per day. Okay, per day. Okay, just to inform you. Okay, masters on swim stroke correction. But actually, this is for you not to doubt or be skeptical with regards to the whole um, presentation, is for you to have the knowledge coming from the best and the top coach of the world. Okay, so we're starting with uh, the stroke correction, where we're starting with freestyle, then breaststroke, backstroke, then the butterfly. Okay, so it's actually a compilation of the videos on Bob Bowman. Okay, so we're starting with the freestyle. Okay, but before that, I just want you to understand the evolution of the coaching style of Bob Bowman. Okay, so
Biggest part of
this
trust is
is
honesty. And I've never had a problem kind of letting people know who I am and what I'm about. I'd probably be a little too, not truthful, but just the way I delivered it was like da 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 da, like a machine gun, right? And now I just try to do it in a more respectful and just tactful way, right? So they know that if I'm kind of telling them something they don't want to hear, number one, I try to do it in a way where they're more receptive to do it. I'm like, look, if we really want to achieve these goals, we're going to have to do this. And right now you're here, really need to see this. So what do you think about that? And they'll be like, yeah, probably need to do it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of like, just do this. You know, that's how I used to do it. I used to tell people, it's like, my coaching toolbox is much bigger now. I can go in there and get all kind of tools. In the beginning, all I had was a hammer, so everything looked like a nail. I just hammered everything, right? So I think trust is basically, it's two ways, right? And I expect that from them. They have to be honest with me. We have to take a realistic look at what we're doing. That seems to work really well.
of Bob Bowman on his coaching style. Okay, now before you start with the stroke correction, the 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 normal style of coaching is that you focus on the beauty of the stroke. Okay, try to evaluate the stroke count and try to look at the stroke rate. Okay, try to compare the stroke rate and the stroke count, then choose the stroke count that is very much uh, applicable for, that's a 200 or the 100. You're gonna be using that. Okay, so let's try to start with a stroke count.
One of the things that we really believe in is counting strokes in practice. We want to know how many strokes swimmers taking per length, and then we can match that up with the times they're swimming as they take those strokes and derive a lot of information that can help them be a better swimmer. For one thing, it's about efficiency. We're trying to get them to take as few strokes as possible at the fastest possible velocity. Some people need to have a higher tempo, some need to have less.
So you understand what is the stroke count and the velocity. Okay, the stroke rate. Okay, when you call when normally you call it as a tempo. Okay, that's where you're looking at. Okay, on the stroke count. Okay, now we are looking at the freestyle breathing.
In proper freestyle swimming, the head moves with the body to take the breath. It never moves independently. You don't want any lifting of the chin to take a breath. You don't want any looking forward or to the side of the pool to take a breath. You want to rotate your head in line with your body and take the breath in the natural rotation of the body. A good key for you young swimmers is to try to take your breath with one goggle in the water. I know you're going to say, well, that will only let half my mouth out of the water, but that's not true. Because if your head is in the right position, there's a bow wave that's going to be formed on your head, and you'll be actually taking your breath with the full mouth inside that bow wave. Watch Michael take a breath. You're going to see one goggle out of the water. You're going to see about half his mouth, but he's actually breathing inside the bow wave. One of the things I notice about Katie sometimes is she will over-rotate and you'll see both goggles on the breath. So one of the things we're working with her on is to be able to just have one goggle showing and to minimize the head rotation. That way, your head and body move together. If you can see your whole face on a breath or you're looking up to the ceiling when you're taking your breath, I call it checking the weather. You're going to be over-rotating from your head and you're not going to be moving in unison with your body. So that's something you can work on. It's very easy, but very, very critical to your freestyle stroke. I'm often asked what kind of breathing patterns swimmers should use in freestyle. And my answer is they need to have a variety of options to use for different conditions. I think younger swimmers need to learn how to breathe on both sides, bilateral breathing. I think as you get older, you're going to be wanting to have more air, and you're also going to want to have more rotation in your stroke. So it's advantageous then to breathe on one side more than once. So if you'll watch Michael swimming, he may breathe to the left side for a 25 meters in practice, and then he'll flip, and when he comes back, he'll breathe on his right side for 25 meters, so that he's getting symmetry in the breathing, but he's also breathing every stroke, so he gets more air, and he's also rotating more, because when you take a breath, you're rotating more than on the strokes where you don't breathe. Essentially, we want swimmers in freestyle to be on their side as much as possible, because you're much more streamlined in that position than when you're lying flat. So anyone can improve their breaststroke by following a few simple tips. Let's start at the end of the kick and work forward. If the body's in a straight, streamlined position with the feet together, hopefully bottom of the feet together, but certainly together, the heels are going to recover up towards the hips, and at this point, there's going to be some flexion in the knees. It's critical that the lower back relax and keep a straight body line from shoulders to knees as the heels come up. This is going to minimize drag and put you in the best position to catch water at the top of the kick. I think a common error is young swimmers is to keep the back rigid and flat. And that way you end up pulling the knees under the body, which is a huge drag creator and stops the timing of the stroke. So it's very important to keep the angle between the shoulders and the knees as open as possible. Once the heels are up near the buttocks, turn your feet out and kick straight back on the water. Not down. You want to be kicking straight back until you finish again by touching the toes and feet together. And that way you'll get every bit of momentum you can off of the kick and you have the longest range of motion. I think a common error at that point would be to turn the knees out. We want the kick to be narrow. We want the feet to be outside the knees, and we want to press straight back. I often have my breaststrokers, young and old, place a tiny band of rubber tubing or a TheraBand around their knees to help keep them in while they're kicking. You can also use a pull buoy for this. A very effective teaching tool is to do breaststroke kick with a pull buoy to maintain a narrow kick.
The part two.
For backstroke, it's called touch and pull backstroke. We do it a little bit differently than some people would do, in that we have both hands at the side. Then the swimmer would take a full stroke cycle with a good body rotation and return to a point where both hands are at the side before they take the next pull. And what this does is really emphasize what the hips and body should be doing during a stroke cycle. It seems counterintuitive because in backstroke they obviously swim with arms opposite. One hand enters as one exits. But this drill really allows them to get a feel of the catch and what their body should be doing at the moment of the catch, and also how to switch from side to side.
This is the part 2 of the breaststroke.
I think if you want to get better on your breaststroke, you want to look at the different parts of it and try to improve them. I find that most young swimmers, if they're not sort of a natural breaststroker, they have difficulties with kicking. So I think the more that you can work on the technique of your kick, being able to actually catch water with your kick and time your arms and legs, in terms of how the stroke works, that's probably the quickest way to get better. I also think that you need to see breaststroke as a streamlining stroke. The most important thing that you can do in breaststroke is have a very flat line and a clean line between strokes. I know that younger swimmers, when they try to go fast, a lot of times they just crank their arms and legs and want to do it with energy. But the best way to swim breaststroke is to learn how to exert force in a way that you don't create a lot of resistance.
That is actually simplified as you're going back to the streamline position. Okay, I don't want uh, to uh, give too much of this one, but if you're trying to look at this one, okay, on every image, okay, that breaststroke itself, okay, uh, focus on after every stroke, like butterfly and breaststroke. After each stroke, you're still going back to the streamline position. The flatness of that, okay, gives you the advantage of gliding. If you're not basically flat after the implementation of a stroke, okay, definitely you cannot easily get the glide, which is your target glide. Okay, the most important thing there is your smooth, your perfect on your body position after the complete execution of one stroke. Okay, by the way, among all the coaches in the world, Bob Bowman talks in a simple way. Normally, we coaches are have the tendency of showing that you're superior, showing the swimmers that you're good, but you don't understand that you're supposed to make it simplified for the athlete to understand what you're saying. Okay, that is the advantage of Coach Bob Bowman compared to, like, for example, uh, David Salo. Okay, uh, you're talking of you when he talks, he's talking about the philosophy. It talks about very heavy uh sports science terminologies. I know that they are good, okay, but you know the make it simple way. The athletes are not sports science athletes. They don't know they don't understand your terminology from those ATPs, from glucose and others. Okay, they only know and understand, okay, what you're talking about on from the lactic buildup and others. That's it. No, you don't create a point that you're trying to confuse the kids. Just showing that you're superior. Okay, so because you're superior, uh you're the god. I know sometimes you do that, but there are points that you make it a point that the kid is also comfortable with you. Oh, this question. Okay, now we're doing for butterfly.
For the butterfly, I really like a drill that we do called 2, 2, and 2, which is simply 2 right arm strokes, 2 left arm strokes, and 2 full strokes. And we tend to have them breathe on the full strokes only so that it doesn't upset their rhythm when they're breathing on the single strokes. Or you can do it where you breathe on the second of every one of those strokes, but they have to then turn their head to the side. I never like for swimmers to breathe to the front in a butterfly single arm drill because they raise their head up, their hips drop, and it's really a very unnatural position. But 2, 2, and 2 butterfly is definitely a thing you could do for a longer period of time than regular butterfly stroke, and it helps you figure out the rhythm of your normal stroke.
Next. Now,
I think that goal setting is absolutely critical for anyone who's trying to make a significant improvement in any area. In swimming, our sport's kind of tailor-made for goal setting because we have times, which are really the things that we spend most of our time thinking about. No one sets up a plan that goes 100% according to the way that you set it up. Your goals are basically just your roadmap, and your coach is your GPS, right? And sometimes you just get off the tracks. And that's when you really have to start thinking about what are the ways that I can change either my lifestyle or the way I'm approaching things to get back where I want to go. I have found that swimmers, when they lack motivation, one of 2 things has occurred. They either don't have goals that are exciting and meaningful, or they've lost track of those goals. So my job as a coach is to refocus them to either come up with goals that are something that they can achieve, or get them back in contact with the goals that they had previously set that maybe for whatever reason they've kind of lost track of. So I think goals are a very important coaching tool and something that we take very seriously.
okay. Now we're going back to being an elite coach. Okay, you have a team of about 30 or 40 swimmers. Okay, you need to separate the age group and the elites. Okay, or the juniors. Okay, now the for example you can do it by your own if you can handle it. Okay, for example, um the class C is only for about 90 minutes. The class B or class A is about 2 hours, and for the elites, it's about 2.5 hours or 3 hours. Okay, so depends on the workout. Okay, because number one, that is why they're class C, because they cannot really stand, or they cannot really catch up with the class A and class B, and the four A's. Okay, they cannot really catch up with those A or B cannot really catch up with the four A's. So you cannot define a 4A of a 4A on 11 and 12. There's a big difference between 4 A's of 11 and 12 and 4 A's of 18 and above. Okay, the times. Okay, you need to compare it with the times. Okay, so if he's doing 24 or 53 on 100 free, you cannot just merely give an opportunity for 103s to stay along with the training of 53s. Definitely if you're trying to balance things on handling the 103 and the 53, it's gonna be really hard. Okay, uh, you really need to focus also on those who are doing 53, 54, 55. Okay, so if you're doing those times, handling those times, okay, so the main set should be given on the focus. That is why I told you uh, the class C is supposed to be finished on 90 minutes only, okay, of the workout. The class A and B is supposed to be done in 2 hours or 2 hours something, and the class the triple A 4A, okay, should be about 2.5 hours or 3 hours, because your attention is needed basically on the those who are doing that. Okay, the in the 90 minutes, the 4As triple A's, okay, are still on the minor set, while the 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 class C is already on the main set. That's the situation if you're making a program. Okay, so if you're focused on on for example, trying to balance the three groups, okay, be sure that you have a classification between the three groups, because the three groups will not improve if you don't classify them. If you make a program like, hey, all of the same time, you're trying to balance 30 swimmers, 40 swimmers, or 50 swimmers, okay, you end up what, the great swimmers will be bored, okay, and the great swimmers will not be improving. The class C swimmers and class B swimmers will be the one improving, because you're trying to balance it. Trying to balance it, uh, you give attention, enough attention to the class C already. You give enough attention already on the no, you balance it, but it is a program. Okay, so the common problem here in the Philippines, in other countries, they're trying to balance. If he's holding about 30, 40, 50 swimmers, they don't know how to create a program specifically on the level of the athlete. So I'm just telling you. So if you're creating if you're correcting a stroke, correct the stroke within about 10 to 20 days. You're supposed to, that's enough. 3 days correcting one stroke, 3 days correcting one stroke again, 3 days correcting one stroke, then the rest of the remaining days will be IM. 2 to 3 days, is enough. Okay, try to look at that, if it's effective or not. Okay, try to get a time on the 25, time on the 50, if the stroke count is enough. Okay, and the stroke rate. That you need to make it a point that you're getting times. Okay, you're gonna get times of the 90%, times of the 100%, times of the 85%. Okay, so if the stroke is the corrected stroke was effective for the kid or not. Okay, now creating a sprinter, you focus on the first 25 and the 15 meters. Creating a 50-meter, um, that is the normal thing. The sprinters, you're if you're focusing on the 50-meter, you focus on the 15 meters and the 25. If you're focusing on 100, you focus on speed endurance. Okay. If you're focusing on the 200, also speed endurance. Okay. So it's actually the threshold itself. Okay. So 4x2, 8x2, okay, for the 200, okay, or 4x1 on a lower cycle time, like 4x1 on 120, 4x1 on 115, and 4x1 on 110. Simple as that. Okay, so much for that for today.